Those of you who saw our Oscar live stream know that he has been feeling a little under the weather. So we're delighted that he roused himself from his cozy nook, his slumber, to spend time with us.
But today we're brought to you by Paxlovid and Pedialyte. So, woo.
Oh gosh. How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I had a couple days where I was like congested-y and had a sore throat and was just sort of worn out. But then of course I was also taking NyQuil, so I might have been just worn out from that. But at the moment I have minor symptoms. Like the one other time I had COVID was back in August of 2022, and this is a much smoother sail. So,
well, I'm glad to see you. Yes, as Nancy says, hoping Alonso is in fine vocal form and feeling better. You sound great. You look and sound totally fine.
Well, thank you.
Like I wouldn't know. So, but yeah, Brent wants you to feel better. And
Thanks,
Fernando and Gage and John McVeigh, all of our friends are here. Chris Wright.
Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much. So, Alonso, we have a review of Kung Fu Panda with our friend Christian Harloff. We have a review of Love Lies Bleeding with Katie Walsh.
Nice.
But this weekend is the Oscars, as we know. You were not able to join us on Tuesday. Do you have any thoughts on the Oscars that you want to share?
Not really. You and Glenn did a really thorough job. I caught most of that recording. You. And yeah, I mean, I've always been a terrible Oscar prognosticator, and I can't get excited about this year's Oscars because I have a hunch it's going to be a big sweep for Oppenheimer, and I didn't really care for that movie, so I'm just going to sort of watch that happen and be like, okay, that happened.
Right. But there are other things that might happen that are good.
Yes, absolutely. And again, the exciting thing about Jimmy Kimmel hosting is that Louis Vertel is going to be on the writing staff of the show. And he is, of course, not only one of the funniest people alive, but a deep well of Oscar knowledge and trivia. And so he is going to, I'm sure, bring his A game. And there are going to be moments of the evening that are going to really pop. And I'm going to go, that's a Louis line.
Yeah. And so you have strong writing, and also you have a host who is really good at this and really competent. And, we saw with the Golden Globes what a tough gig it is to host a giant award show. And you appreciate that someone like Kimmel makes it look pretty effortless.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, and I'm sure if, Bullhorn guy from the Spirit Awards is not going to get anywhere near the Dolby, because they're not out of a tent on the beach. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's a fortress around that whole Hollywood and Highland area. So any protesters will not be able to get anywhere close.
I used to work on that block, and you couldn't, after a certain point on like Friday, you basically, unless you had lined it up beforehand, you couldn't even get on the block.
Yeah. For sure. I've had to go to the Oscars myself, and the credentials are like a giant thing that takes up your entire chest. It's like a giant chest plate. Kay the Replicant says, first live I've been to make it in a while.
Welcome.
Thank you for being here. And he brings up something that I was going to mention next, which is that I'm going to do a live Oscar watching party on Sunday night because it's the first night of daylight saving time. They're doing the Oscars an hour earlier. So the show begins at 4, but I will be here on YouTube at like 3:45. It's going to be a vertical live stream, so you'll see it in your shorts feed, but you can watch it either on your phone or on your laptop or your computer. There's a link to it down below. There's a link to it on our page. There's a link to it everywhere, so you can hit notify me, and I'm going to see if I can talk for 4 hours straight. We'll see how that goes.
Have some tea handy.
I will have tea, yeah, and I'll have Baxter next to me for support. And so if you have no plans on Oscar night and you want to have the fun second screen experience with me, I'd love to have you. This is sort of like I would ordinarily live tweet the Oscars, but I don't go on Twitter anymore.
I might live blue sky them. We'll see if I'm feeling it.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. See how you're doing. So that's happening. Also, if you've not subscribed to my newsletter, this would be a great day to do it because today is Friday and tomorrow is Saturday. And the newsletter comes out on Saturdays, which is why it's called Saturday Matinee. So you get a wrap up of all our stuff we do all week long, plus extra goodies that you don't see anywhere. You can subscribe. News stuff we got to talk about. We have a trailer for Inside Out 2. It looks really cute. I love the first Inside Out. And now you have the introduction of new characters voiced by Adele Exarchopoulos
as Ennui.
is
I love
Ennui.
that.
How cute is that?
Yeah, no. I mean, I have to say, like, the whole thing of Pixar sequels, it's a very mixed bag. Like, I think like Toy Story 2 and 3 obviously are great, but other ones have been sort of like maybe lesser. But yeah, this one looks like they're taking that story further, and they're going into adolescence, which is going to be, you know, a whole host of complications. So I could see where this would organically work as a way to keep that story going.
Apparently we froze briefly. I was not aware of that, but we're back.
Did. I noticed it, but I'm glad
anyway,
I'm sure it was on me.
We're back, baby. I think we were both frozen. Iowa Debris is in the cast, Paul Walter Hauser, and then we knew Maya Hawke was going to be one of the new voices. So that looks great. I'm looking forward to that. Also, we have a release date for MaXXXine. This is the third film in the Mia Goth Ty West trilogy, and it's going to be out on July 5th.
Nice. Can't wait.
Yeah, those are fun. I like those too. Oh, Angel says, Christy, please excuse us Europeans for missing out on Oscar night. Yeah, I guess it is sort of in the middle of the road.
Yeah, if it starts at 4 p.m. LA time, that's like midnight CET.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally understood. You wake up and find out how it all went. And we froze again.
Or what's that, honey? I missed you?
Sorry, we froze again.
Oh, I don't know that I'm freezing. I don't know.
Then maybe it's on me. I don't know, but you definitely were.
Okay.
Anyway,
we're having issues. COVID is a gremlin in the system here. So Daniel Warren Guitar says, if you were frozen, it's okay to let it go. Thank you so much. Yes, I appreciate that. Jacob Ryder is looking forward to MaXXXine. And anyway, it looks really good. Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour movie, parentheses, Taylor's version, is going to be on Disney Plus a day earlier. It's going to be on 6 p.m. Pacific time on March 14th now. And that is the one that has a bunch of other songs that other versions didn't have. She's so canny about putting out various versions of albums and different colors of vinyl. And so now on Disney Plus, it's going to have 4 new songs, and it's going to include Cardigan. So that is out there. We reviewed this movie when it came out in theaters, and we had a good time.
Yeah. You know, and it's obviously we're at a moment now with the streamers where they are trying to figure out the bottom line is about increasing their subscriber numbers. And it doesn't seem to be that like they're as interested necessarily in putting a lot of money into prestige movies necessarily, unless you're Apple TV, you know, or like making series that last, because, you know, they tend to cancel them quickly. But something like this, obviously, Taylor Swift has a very dedicated fan base, and if the only place they're going to get to see this version of this movie is on Disney Plus, they're going to at least sign up for a month, you know, to get their eyeballs on it.
Yes, for sure. Oh, our friend Oscar Toledo is here. A long time no see. Good to see you in Mexico. Hello. We have other movies coming out this weekend besides the couple that I mentioned. I mentioned Kung Fu Panda and Love Lies Bleeding. Imaginary is out this weekend. Are any of you guys going to see Imaginary? Have you seen Imaginary? I guess it must have played last night in some places. I went to a screening of it thinking that maybe we might review it, thinking that maybe it might have been the same kind of batshit crazy that Megan was, you know, where it's this seemingly sweet, adorable doll come to life. You know, here we have an evil teddy bear instead of a doll. And it's kind of flat. Yeah, it's kind of not nutty enough. Only in the last half hour or so does it come to fruition as the insane horror exercise that it purports itself to be. It's kind of boring. And it's like a horror movie where people do dumb things. Like, you know, there's going down into the basement and like, well, first of all, moving back into the childhood home where there was trauma, and then going down into the basement. Brent says he's reviewing Imaginary. Brent, have you seen it yet, or are you going to see it today? You'll have to let us know.
It's is it like trying to be Child's Play but with a Teddy Ruxpin or something else?
It's not that crazy. It doesn't talk. It doesn't really. It kind of moves a little bit like there's like a stringy thing where you pull it and music comes out, and it kind of uses that to scooch itself along the floor of the hallway at some point. But like, it is not as insane as it should be. They could have had a whole lot more fun with this movie, and they don't. Yeah.
That's kind of how I felt about Five Nights at Freddy's. I know a lot of people were into that one, but I thought cool concept. What are you gonna do with it?
Yeah. So it's not doing very well in reviews, and it's not going to do very well this weekend. I mean, Oscar weekend is kind of a bad time. The weekend of the Oscars and then the weekend after the Oscars are kind of low times for new movies because people are either catching up with the contenders or they're catching up with what won, and so.
Well, okay. One of us is frozen. If you're going to counter program,
Are we frozen again?
We are. Yes. Sorry about that.
No, I am looking at. I think we look fine.
Weird. Okay, because you freeze on me. Like I can tell when it happens. So
I am moving. I am talking. You guys, are we freezing all the time? This is very strange to me because I think it's okay. Anyway, let me know. Yes, Nancy brings up a thing that I wanted to talk about. Oh, hi, Micah. Thank you. Wong Kar-wai is making his first film in 10 years with Saint Laurent. Said he and DP Christopher Doyle no longer work together, though. Still excited. Oh, a new Wong Kar-wai movie is cause for celebration.
That is. I knew he and Doyle were no longer collaborating, but the film is called Saint Laurent, or is he making it for Saint Laurent the way that like Almodovar made Strange Way of Life for Saint Laurent?
It's probably the latter, I would think. It's a thing for Saint Laurent where it's like a long ad.
Okay.
But it's incredibly cool looking.
Great. He hasn't made a movie since what, the Grandmaster?
Oh, I don't know. Everyone says I'm freezing. Definitely freezing on Christy's side, says our friend Doug Arthur. I'm sorry, you guys. I don't know why. I have had fine experiences all morning long. So I don't know. I apologize that I'm freezing. But I promise I have a sweater on. So I'm here and I'm warm and cozy. Well, we better get to it then if I'm not dysfunctional. We got to talk about the Rust verdict.
Yes. Okay.
The armorer in the Rust shooting, the fatal shooting of cinematographer Helena Hudgens, she was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Yeah. And I mean, I would leave it to people who understand the mechanics of what happens on a set and how the crew functions more than I do. But it kind of seems to me is this not a top-down problem? I mean, is it fair to pin it on this one person?
Well, from what I understand, she brought live rounds, like she introduced live rounds into a setting where there weren't any.
There shouldn't have been. Okay.
Yeah, like there never should be. And there were some, so that is a problem. And I just suspect that in general, and probably in trying to cut costs on a low budget production, that maybe they don't have the most experience, the most qualified. So, yeah.
Well, if there's ever, I mean, it's hard to talk about silver linings when someone is dead, but I mean, these tragedies, I think, do often force industries to like up their game in terms of what the standards are, what the procedures are. Nobody wants to have this happen again, and so like if there's one positive thing to find in this is that hopefully sets even for smaller indie movies get a lot more strict about who's handling what's available, all the kind of procedures involved that are supposed to keep everyone safe.
Right. Hopefully there's more knowledge now about this. Yeah, various folks, including Jacob Ryder, are pointing out that Alec Baldwin is still being charged. So yeah, that is not done, but the armorer's trial happened. And then Brent is asking, are they still planning on finishing Rust? I think so. Wasn't her widow planning to be an executive producer and they wanted to finish the film in her honor and all that?
I mean, that got said at some point. I just, does anybody want to see that movie at this point? Like, it just seems to me like it's got a shroud on it, but it's possible, who knows what will happen.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I don't know that I want to watch that movie knowing that a crucial person died in the making of it. It just seems very sad, and it would be hard to immerse yourself in the story that they're trying to tell with that in your mind.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could watch that movie and not be thinking about its sort of tragic creation.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. And then Regé-Jean Page is going to join Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett in this new Steven Soderbergh movie, Black Bag. That's an interesting cast right there.
Yeah, for sure.
Lots of beautiful people. We'll keep an eye out. We'll keep an eye out for that. And then Alonzo, here's some news that I know you want to talk about, and that is the death of legendary crooner Steve Lawrence.
Yes.
School the kids on Steve Lawrence, Alonzo.
Steve Lawrence was a great singer and had a long time relationship with Edie Gourmet, and they recorded a lot together. They toured a lot together. Dave and I recently saw a documentary about this woman who was kind of a pioneer of talk show TV in Cincinnati, Ohio, and she became like if you were touring around with a book or a show or whatever, like if you were in the Midwest, you went on this woman's show.
Yes.
And she apparently had Steve and Edie on separately all the time, and they would each talk about how like they were in love with each other, but they never got to see each other because they were working so much. And she was finally like, you guys need to get married and tour together. And that's what they did. He also was a great comedic player on the Carol Burnett show. He would guest on there all the time, and it was really fun in sketches. And played the Ghost of Christmas Past in a very odd Christmas carol that was written by Rod Serling and directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, called Carol for Another Christmas. It was produced by the UN. It's all about like isolationism, basically. And the cast includes like Peter Sellers and Sterling Hayden and Ben Gazzara and Robert Shaw. It's on Max. If you've never seen this, it's a thing that I dug up at the Paley Festival. Ruth Lyons was the TV lady, by the way.
Okay.
Carol for Another Christmas, I dug up when I was researching Have Yourself a Movie Little Christmas, and I had to go to the Paley Center to watch it, but now it's on Max. Check it out. It's very unusual.
Yeah, Steve Lawrence and Edie Gourmet, 70s talk show staples.
Mm-hmm.
I see there's some video out there of Steve Lawrence performing with Sammy Davis Jr. at the Oscars.
Yeah, they were definitely of the sort of like post Rat Pack rather.
Yeah.
But like that when they would do the Sinatra group on SNL, like I think Mike Myers and Victoria Jackson would play Steve and Edie, and they would always be sort of like, whatever you say, Frank, but no, they were very talented and a lot of fun. And yeah, she died a few years back, and now he's passed as well.
Yeah, I think looking at it now, it would seem schmaltzy, but in its day, like legends.
Yeah, no
right
question.
of their time.
Definitely.
So RIP to you,
giants of easy listening.
Giants, titans, if you will.
Yes.
As Steve Lawrence at age 88. So that's about all I have for us for news. I kind of wanted to keep it short to spare you, my darling, because I don't want you to have to talk much more than necessary. Plus, we got to go jump over and record our recap of this week's episode of Feud.
Yep.
Feud episode 7. Very eventful, very emotional. The second to last episode in the series, as you say, always is pretty action-packed. And then the actual finale is, sort of a coda cleaning things up. But a lot happens this week on Feud. So if you are not already a member of our Patreon, we'd love to see you. That's patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. And a couple days left over there to still vote for our Off the Menu poll. Alonzo lovingly curated this month's poll based on the Criterion Channel doing a tribute, if you will, to the Razzies.
Yes.
And they're showing a bunch of movies that were Razzie winners, if you will, over the years. And it's obvious stuff like Ishtar and Gigli and Showgirls, but then it's things like Cocktail and the Blair Witch Project.
And
so right
Corral.
now,
although why you put Cocktail in the category with good movies? You're crazy, lady.
Cocktail is not a bad movie, although again, I've not watched it in a while. I've not watched it in a while.
Terrible movie.
I have to acknowledge I have not watched it in a while. The whole point of our Was It Great or Were You 8 series. But right now, with a couple days left to vote, Showgirls and Cruising are tied at 23%. So if anyone here is a Patreon member and has not voted yet, go do that. If you would like to become a Patreon member, come join us there. That'd be great.
I thought people were going to make us watch Freddy Got Fingered, but who knows?
That was in the hunt for a while.
Okay.
But not so much anymore. So I'm interested to see how this shakes out. Yeah, so have a great Oscar weekend.
Yes.
Don't forget my Oscar live stream. Come and hang out with me. Links to it are everywhere. And
we'll be here Monday, right?
We'll be here Monday. Yes. Yeah, what time Monday should we do this? What time do you want to meet up on Monday for Oscar Reacts?
I mean, better early than later. I can go at... I'll do it at 9 if you want.
9 a.m. All right. You guys are the first to know. 9 a.m. Pacific on Monday. Get your coffee, shake off the cobwebs, all the excitement from the previous night, the glitter and glamour of Hollywood's biggest night. Come roll out of bed.
Wearing last night's dress.
Please do. See you on Sunday, says everyone. Yes. And not everyone thinks cocktail is bad. Thank you guys for being cocktail apologists with me. Again, it's been a while. All right. So have a great Oscar weekend. We are thankful to all of you for being a part of things here. We love seeing you on our Monday lives, and we will see you on Sunday night. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.